Mr. Brooks again, back in the Excellent Art Room, episode number 9. This is the first recording that I've made after spring break. I had a good spring break. I hope you did too. I will admit it was weird. Didn't go anywhere. Didn't do a lot of exciting things, but I got to spend some more time with the dog, Quince. Here he is again. This time he's actually live on camera. He's not going to stay here for very long, but did some working in the garden with my daughter Keely. She and I took apart some garden beds that were rotting out and falling apart, and we started building some new ones. We dug some fence post holes. Quince turns out a very good worker. He loves to dig. I wouldn't say it's productive, and he did not do a very good job of digging fence post holes, but he did a lot of digging while we were digging. Today, back in the Excellent Art Room, I am going to keep it, I guess relatively short. I don't know. We'll see. But I just had a little adventure with Quince outside, and when we were outside, we found some other dogs, which is good because dogs need to socialize, just like all of us, and they need to have some sort of outlets for learning about how they're supposed to get along. And this one of these dogs that came running up to us just like out of nowhere when we went on the walk, he had seen in the first week that we were all on this COVID-19 break, and he was very afraid. He came running back to me, and his hackles went up, and he was like, "Rrr," barking at the dog, and the dog ran away, and that was it. But today, this dog came out of nowhere, and Quince, because he's had a few more chances, wanted to play. So, yes, that doesn't seem anything like art, but it was fun to watch them for 20, 25 minutes while he and this other dog, and then another dog joined him too. So there were like 3 dogs playing, 2 new dogs that Quince got to meet. So I was watching them for 20 minutes, and then I thought, wow, this could be kind of cool, like sort of a challenge. And this is my challenge for you in this bear chat, is to watch something, to study it, right, for like 15, 20 minutes, and then to not look at it anymore, to go back to your sketchbook, go back to a piece of paper, and with a pencil or some paint or colored pencils or whatever you want, to try to draw it, right? So you're getting a little extra help with this because I'm telling you ahead of time. I'm going to try to do a drawing for you of these 2 other dogs and see if I can remember the details, right? So I started thinking about this while I was watching, but it wasn't until like 10 minutes in. I think Quince wants to get down. Quince, I'm going to get you down. All right, there you go. Quince is very tired after his little play session, so he probably wants down. But I'm going to give him a bone because sometimes little kids need a distraction. You're probably realizing this with your brothers and sisters. There we go. All right. So anyway, what I'm going to do today in this drawing is to try to draw these 2 dogs. I don't have a picture of them. Okay, so I think I've got that set up, and now I can go back here. So like I said, this is a look at something and then draw it as best you can sort of challenge, right? Try to remember details, look for things, and then don't look at it anymore. And draw what you can. I'm going to draw for maybe 10 minutes or something like that, and we'll see what we get. So again, a little out of practice. I need to find my screen sharing. Let's share an application window again. Yes, that's the right one. Awesome. Okay, so I got this screen set up here. I think we're good to go. Couple of things. I'm going to use the stylus again, but I'm gonna set it up so that it has like a. So it's sort of like a pencil again, because first thing I want to do, like what I remember from these other dogs, is that one of them had sort of a blocky sort of face, like, right, he had sort of this he had sort of a more square face, and so really lightly I'm gonna draw that in there, and then my other kind of impression of him was that he had kind of this big sort of nose, and he was definitely, and I'll be curious, this dog might have been from somebody at the garden. It might have been Mr. Watley's dog. I don't know. I saw these dogs they're somewhere near the art room when they've shown up, so I don't know who they belong to, but maybe I will, maybe when I finish this picture I'll send out we'll test my accuracy, and I'll send out a picture, and I'm like, whose dogs are these? They may not be perfect, but what? did I get enough detail in here that you can tell that this is your dog? So this one of the dogs had kind of a goofy grin, and he would kind of look up at me. So everything I'm doing right now, as I've done in some of the other videos, is sort of blocking shapes in, right? So when you're trying to remember something in your drawing that you do based on this today, you can think about just like shapes. So yeah, he had kind of a square head. He had a square head. And now this dog also, this one, it was kind of a little, I don't know, he seemed kind of goofy. So he had little floppy ears, kind of like Max. He had kind of this like square head, and he was wearing a collar. I definitely remember that. He was wearing a collar, and he kind of kept putting his head down, which is why I also sort of have this head sort of down here. And he had found like a deer bone, and it's like he was taunting Quince with it. He really wanted to play, which is cool. And so he had this deer bone in his mouth, and he was like running around, kind of this big like goofy grin on his face, and trying to get Quince to play. And Quince did. He loved sort of chasing this dog. So a couple other things too about this particular dog, right? He had because of this wanting to play, and because of this square sort of blocky head, he had sort of a goofy look to him, sort of a fun, sort of playful look to him. He was a pretty big dog too. He was, he must have outweighed Quince by 50 pounds or whatnot. Quince is 20 pounds, and this was definitely like a 60-pound dog. Now his collar was light blue. It had kind of this white, little pattern on it. I don't need to worry about the colors and things, but I did want to indicate that it was sort of a thick neck and definitely a noticeable like collar with a couple of dog tags on it. And the dog tags, honestly, right? Sometimes we do this too when we're creating a picture, especially from memory. But if we were doing like an illustration for a book and we wanted it to look like there were dog tags, but really the dog tags might be hanging down below, but the way I drew it, I'm kind of cheating. You create a little bit of fiction, right? A little bit of fiction in your attempt to sort of do some reality. So I wanted to see the dog tags, but I wouldn't see the dog tags if I put them down below his neck. So I put them up on top. So now I am just going to spend a little bit of time filling in some details. So I'm going to stop talking on this video. That way I can draw longer, but then I can speed it up and the whole thing will end up shorter. All right. But one of the main things I noticed about this dog too, and this was very important, is that he, like, half of his face was kind of this tan sort of brown color, and the other half was white. So he had a lot of spots. So you can just watch now for a little bit while I keep drawing and adding details, and this part will get sped up. Now, for the second dog that came out to play with us, I am going to sort of talk you through this again just a little bit, and then again, we'll speed it up while I do some finishing. But as opposed to the first dog, who had this really square, sort of blocky head with like lots of stripes, or like stripes, pattern and sort of splotches and things like that I remember. The other dog, I don't know what the right words are, but he seemed almost more regal. He had definitely like a little more of alert, sort of pointed sort of ears, and he had a sharper, kind of more triangular head. And so when I remember those details and we think about sort of drawing something, right? There was a different sort of angle and a different a different sort of whole shape to his face. And I honestly, the most striking thing about this dog was how pointed the face was, and then how sort of the rest of his, he was much taller too, and he had kind of skinny legs, and then he had seemingly sort of smaller eyes, and it won't be as noticeable here, but his eyes, one was they were two different colors. So if I was painting this with color, I might be able to show that. Oh, Quince found a glazed container. That's fine. I think it's an empty one. And then the next thing about this dog that was also very noticeable is that, and this made his eyes stand out even more, is he was almost all entirely black. So there's two things that I'm remembering about this dog that will be important in terms of capturing this right without looking at him anymore. I think his ears were bigger. I'll work on that later. But he also had then the triangular face, and then for him he was very black, sort of on both sides of the head. And I'm just like right now I'm just loosely sort of getting that in there. And then he did have some little flecks on his muzzle, and he I didn't do that dog mouth very well. And then he almost had less of a goofy look and more of kind of a wise look. All right.
Just like in the earlier drawing and some of the other videos that I've done during this period of remote learning, what's happening now is just using that pencil to go in and darken things up, to take those blocked in shapes and give them some value, give them some darker and lighter areas, and to make the drawing feel more complete even though it still is a sketch. What's happening right there with the eyebrow, that's just me sort of having this memory of that dog and its kind of knowing look and trying to give the dog a little bit of personality. I don't really think that it had eyebrows like that, but this does help to tell a little bit of a story. And that's what we're trying to do in creating a character, creating drawings. So there are my two dogs. And full disclosure, I actually saw the dog on the right again later on in the day, and realized that he had a lot more on his muzzle, a lot more spots, a lot more color than I originally thought. His ears were also bigger, so I made some slight adjustments, which you can always do, especially with a sketch, and brought those ears closer together, and then also changed a little bit of that shading on his face and down kind of along his neck.
I will try to send this out to the staff and see if I can figure out, based on the two quick little drawings I made, whose dogs these are. And so your challenge then this week and into next week is to do something similar, to pick something, study it for 15 or 20 minutes, and then put it away completely so you're not looking at it anymore, and then try to create a picture of it. What I would love is if you do that, when you do that, for you to take a photo of it and to send it to me. And you can do two things. You can take the photo of the thing that you drew, and you can also take a photo of the thing that you, wait a minute. You can take a photo of your drawing, and you can take a photo of the thing that you drew, so that I can kind of see how well you did. Not that it matters exactly, because the practice is in trying to get yourself to remember those details. But I would love to see it. I would love to put it up on our Instagram page so that other people can see it. You guys have been doing a really good job so far of showing me some of your daily drawings, but through the next 7-8 weeks of the school year, I'd love it if we can do even more of that. So thanks very much, and have a good rest of your day. Be safe out there. Wash your hands. Keep your distance from people, but enjoy some of this nice spring weather that we are having. And more from me soon. All right.